Hello, hello, hello out there in Cavland. How are you doing? Hope you're feeling good. Hope you're feeling fine. Glad to have you here with us on Monday evening. Cab Boss subscribed with Prime for a 6-month subscription and a puppy dog outside the door, but that's neither here nor there. So, a few things tonight, a couple of different options here. I changed the lens on my camera, so I'm trying a little bit of a different setup here. Hold on a second. We don't need that. Don't. You're not allowed to talk while I'm talking. Talker person. That's crazy. Let's see if I can adjust. Oh yeah, this is not going to work. I got to come back over here to do this. There we go. Much better. All right. Ilmarin, glad to see you, man. Hope you're having a good day. Cab Boss, I hope you're still out there. Everybody, hope you're having a great time. Like I said, I changed the lens on my camera that I'm streaming with. I use an old DSLR, an old Nikon that I have back from when photography was a thing for me. So I put on my macro lens. We're going to try a little bit of a different setup. I had a little bit of free time earlier today, so I made some notes about stuff I'd seen principally over in Discord. Once I get a smaller marker so I can write more stuff in my little space, I'll expand that and include some Facebook stuff next time. So these are some of the things I saw people talking about over on Discord. Dave C. was asking questions about whether he should put APA2 in his squad, or if he should go with EST and Chameleon. I think there was a Javelin and a Javelin variant. Yeah. Nice to see you, Il. Anyway, so some questions about that, and I thought that was pretty interesting. I had the observation that if you didn't, and this is all opinion, trust me, no expert here, Javelinier, I thought that might be you. My opinion was that unless you need the EST, the target locks for the guided missiles, I think APA2 is a little more powerful than EST. There's just a lot more hoops to jump through to get EST running. You just turn it on with that unit, but then you got to ask the question: Do the people that are benefiting from it? Do they have targeting computers? And if they do, are their targeting computers, how good are they? Are they targeting computer ones? In which case, they're probably not as good as APA2. It's just a lot of little checks and balances there. APA2 can affect more than just the squad that it's a member of, I do believe. So, there's just a lot of little questions going on over there. And In general, I think I'm of the opinion that APA2 is better than EST, although, if that Chameleon means it's around an extra turn, whereas the APA unit just dies, there's a lot to be said there. I think you could make the two of them be a little closer depending on your play style. And so I still would probably give the nod to APA2 myself, but depending on how you're planning on running your units, you might be able to leverage that Chameleon into enough of an advantage to make the EST and the target locks worth going for it, especially if you're running a bunch of guided missiles, because those free target locks they're everything you want for a guided missile. And APA2 does not give you those target locks. So anyway, that's just my thought process. It's kind of nice to have a little bit of a crunchy rules discussion for once, just real briefly before we try a little bit of painting. Also, Dave C is still showing off his killer power station. I saw a decal and some of that awesome Adenese. I believe it was Adenese. I'm pretty sure it was Adenese graffiti. I don't read Adenese. I am not multilingual. There was this really in-depth conversation about infantry that I just kind of labeled Iron Chef infantry. If you want to just see some people that know what they're doing with infantry, that have some experience, pop over to the Discord and find that thread. I think it's in list discussion, and just listen to those guys tell you what you can do. There was a person I didn't recognize. Doesn't mean they're new, but I didn't recognize them, who came in and asked questions about how infantry were set up. And these three commanders got in there and shared a lot of very valuable information. So if you have the desire, if you have the interest, pop over there and check out Iron Chef Infantry, which of course is me trying to be funny. Speaking of being funny, Atlas Grove, he was here back when we very first started this channel a lot. He's been, kind of absent a little bit lately, but he pops in every once in a while and just he just brings the funny is what he does. It's amazing some of the ideas he comes up with. As he was talking about anti-aircraft flamethrowers and how many you could mount on a cab, it was an interesting discussion. You should check that out. Last but not least, the Party Bear has been over there. Hey, Gimli, nice to see you. Party Bear is a streamer, paints lots of stuff, including some calves. He's really, really good. Very, very, very prolific. He's been crushing his Stargrave force, so mostly Reaper models from what I saw. Just really cool. Super kind of, I don't know, like, just have this sort of 70s sci-fi vibe. He's got like a turtle and just a slug for a war dog or whatever it's called. I've just been enjoying the heck out of it. If you guys are not following Party Bear, you need to hook up with him and watch him, listen to him paint and talk. And he's just a really funny guy. Back during CavCon, we had this sort of discussion during his CavCon stream about I can't remember what it was called, Debate Club or something like that. The Rock Debate Club is just this. It's practically a rock stand-up comedy routine. You should go back and find that stream and watch it. But yeah, so those are some of the things that I noticed around the Caviverse this week, and I thought they were interesting and worth bringing up and talking to and chit-chatting about just for a little bit here at the beginning of the stream. As for a project, I hope to get to work on. All right, so now I got to try and change the focus here. All right, so this is the part where this may not work, or maybe it will. I don't know. Go with that for now. So this is my do list I've been prepping. It's going to be quartered yellow up here in this corner. And then the rest of this is just going to be kind of this this green right here. Here's the Fire Drake that I did. Back in the day, I just kind of randomly whipped out 4 of these guys to this point and then stopped. I don't know. I got sidetracked because that's the way I work. And so now for the Slow Grow League, I'm working on trying to get pad this attack squad out with a duelist. And so that's where we're trying to go. I'm using paints. Who would have ever guessed? So that green is this golden hue. It's by the company Golden. It's called Sap Green Hue. It's a kind of medium translucent, kind of a very dark green. And then my notes say that these lighter edge high, like airbrushed highlights are Sap Green mixed with the same company's Titan Buff. Which is also kind of a translucent paint. You can see they're showing you how much that paint will show through with a single layer. So these are both relatively thin. You got to build up the layers with them. Yeah, that's what I hope to work on tonight. Yeah, Gimli. So I was terrified when I decided I wanted to try and expand these guys out that I had not taken notes about their colors, but I was really lucky. Hopefully you all know about a Paint Rack, which is an Android and I believe also an iOS app nowadays for your phone that helps you track your paint collection, which is super useful because then when you're standing there in the paint store and you're like, do I have this color? You can just look it up, right? You can even literally scan the barcode on the paint, and in most cases, in my experience, it'll tell you whether you've already got that. How many you've got, it's an inventory management system for your paint. So it's fantastic if you put the right work into it. And then on top of that, it'll let you basically keep notes about paint jobs. And so in my notes for these Fire Drakes, thank goodness I had written down the paint colors I used to put this together. So I hope that I'll be able to replicate this. Unfortunately, I didn't actually take notes about how I did it, because I don't know if you can tell, but this sap green is actually just a little glossy. You can kind of see it's got a little sheen to it. Whereas this does not, at least not to me. And I don't think I've sealed these with matte coat yet. So I'm kind of hoping that this Titan Buff will knock down some of the shininess of the sap green. If not, I mean, I'll find a way to do it. I also am beginning to think that maybe I came back in here with the airbrush and kind of strengthened these blacks with some kind of a flat black. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I didn't keep notes about the way I painted them, so I'm just winging it as far as that's concerned. Hopefully it'll work out. But yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to hear you've got that, Gimli. That app is it's really good. I mean, it's only as good as the amount of work that you put into it, like, you know, writing things down. But if you do, it's good. I find it super useful. Bam. All right. Click back over here. Got to get a drink of water. Hold on. I love flavored waters from our favorite store based in Arkansas because they're cheap and they're tasty. All right. So I got my trusty airbrush here. Grab some paper towels. Cover up my notes. Make a cleaning the airbrush paper towel. Set this guy over here for inspiration, hopefully out of the flight path of the paint. And move the microphone so we don't bump our head into it quite as much. So definitely, as I'm trying to paint this guy on the camera tonight, give me feedback. Let me know if the focus thing is working out, because this lens has got a lot more. It's got a lot more focal length I can play with. But to keep the light right, I'm also using a wider aperture, which makes the depth of field kind of shorter. And so I got to get the right feel for where I want to be to paint. I feel like that's probably about where I want to be to paint. So let's see if we can get that into focus. All right, now I got to load up my brush. No idea what the ratios are on this mix of green sap and Titan Buff. Oh yeah, make sure this is shaken up real good on my Vortex mixer. Hopefully that's good enough. I mixed the other one up yesterday, so hopefully it'll be good still. I don't know. I'm just going to wing it. Come on, paint. Give me some paint. There we go. Oh. Paint on my finger. Have you ever actually painted and not gotten paint on your finger? Let's start right there. That's probably a pretty high ratio, but we'll just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Now, to backflow the air and get this to mix up. Brains! Looks like some kind of crazy alien brain cell things. All right, and then we'll test to see if it's spraying any good. It looks pretty decent. Get my handy dandy tip cleaning brush. This is I know I've said this before, this is a makeup brush that I rescued out of the garbage when one of my daughters was done with it. And I like it because it fits right between those. Here, let's get this turned to the camera. It fits right between the protective teeth really well. You could use any kind of brush. I just happen to like this one. It's short and soft and mostly the right size, so it's all good for me. All right. Now goes to the concentrating part where I stop talking for like the rest of the show because I got my tongue stuck out kindergarten fashion. Let's move some of that white out of the way. Maybe that'll help with the white balance here. All right. Test. And we just come in with a little, try and build up a little bit of a highlight right here. I'm trying to decide if this is too bright right off the bat. It looks to me like that's a little bit too bright. Maybe one drop too much of that Titan buff. So now we'll add some more sap green and try and go backwards. Yay for notes, but not good enough notes. Come on. Cooperate with me. So I'm super excited by this project that John has got going on where he said he was going to come in and answer our questions, type them up and give us, like official answers to some of those questions. I mean, that is literally our opportunity to get more info about the fluff in the background and just anything that, I mean, obviously John gets to pick. So, I mean, if we ask, I don't know, airspeed velocities of rock swallows, probably we're only going to get like his comedic answer. But, stuff that's relevant. I feel like John will honor his word and give us some really cool information. I'm looking forward to that a lot. Okay, get that back down there. Get onto the screen. I hear that's a useful thing. Maybe? All right. So what we're trying to do here is just build up, not all in one go. We're just trying to build up some layers, right? We're trying to create some highlights. Very small. Because we want subtle transitions. All right. We want to be able to say that there's, in these tiny spaces, we want to be able to change colors from the bottom, like, good God almighty. I feel like I'm wrestling with an octopus here. All right. So my goal is with the airbrush is to leave this shadow down here and build up along this area a brighter highlight. And I can see now I've added a little bit too much green, but I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of this particular highlight in here, and then I'll come back. Yes, Gimli. Yeah, I mean, we don't really need John to answer those questions because he's not into that sort of thing. So we'll just make that's counterculture anyway, right? So the history books are never going to give an honest answer about that stuff. It's going to be slanted by the man, John. So we just get to make up our own stuff. It's like being in the 60s, right? We just get to say whatever we want and call it true because we've had too much, I don't want to use the wrong word here, but we've imbibed of things that make us not have respect for boundaries or something like that. All right, speaking of boundaries, see if we can get into the planetary zone of this. And right now I'm just kind of making sure that other stuff is dry. That's the problem with slightly shiny paints, is the shininess and not being dry are kind of hard to separate. And so it can be really hard to puzzle out if the paint is wet or if it's just shiny. And especially with all the light that I have to throw down here for the camera to work, because strangely enough, cameras are not nearly as good as human eyes. At least young, healthy human eyes. I don't know about old human eyes. Mine and I are not getting along. So anyway, Yeah, there's there's like a lot of little challenges here. Look, I even made a mess right there above my little ninja dude. All right. Come back in, and now what I want to try and do is I want to put a little tiny highlight right there at the top of that segment of this, I guess, ammo feed tube, which trying to do on camera is probably like a recipe for disaster. But we're going to go for it. See if I can get my hands to touch it. And you get into the position, and then the paint. See, this is where I really should have stayed with that earlier mix where it was much, much higher. Because I can tell I'm hitting the right spot, but it's too much the same color. And so I'm going to all this effort to build up this little tiny highlight, and it's really, really hard to see. And I'm like, okay, am I wasting my time here? Is there anything happening here that's worth doing? This is why I'm such a slow painter. Let's do this the hardest way possible. Here, I'm gonna take this forceps off of here real quick. Just hold this by hand. Get this guy over here. All right. Try this again. Get that. Look at the monitor and see if it's actually kind of vaguely in focus. Voila! All of that to inking recesses on your dervish. You know, I'm with you. I feel like you and I should get together and paint, but we probably should have started about 10 years ago so we could accomplish something. Oh Lord. I'm really hoping ReaperCon works out. I'm hoping to get to meet some of you down there, and hopefully get a chance to mess with the Cav RPG. I have some ideas, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with Cav Boss. Hopefully he will find some time soon to acknowledge the fact that we need to get some planning going. I have a fantastic idea. I just got to sell him on it. I just got to convince him it's a fantastic idea, because it's his baby. And so now I'm just trying to create these sort of soft, feathery kind of highlights right where the lights would come in, creating a little bit of a subtle transition here and there. And you just got to watch out when you're using the airbrush. All right, so let's see if I can. It's probably not going to work here. I don't know if you can see, but the tip of my airbrush has got a lot of paint stuck to the outer edge of it. And so when that happens, you get spattering. And so you got to clean that off. And you can just tell because you can see the little tiny droplets of paint will come off, and they're not going where you want them to go. And so you stop and you clean off your airbrush tip and you go back. And you rinse and repeat that about 700 times per model. And eventually, you go, God, I hate painting yellow. Or something akin to that. Yeah, like I said, you're just trying to spray little puffs of paint. Little tiny transitions in places where you would expect to see the light. Gosh, this poor camera is like, well, wait a minute. You're sticking those 3 racks in my face. You want me to focus on them, or do you want me to focus on the guy's hip? What are we doing? I'm confused. Bad human. You just mean to me. The camera's always complaining. I don't love it. I don't take it out and shoot pictures of roses anymore. It's a thing. I hope you guys are all painting, because, man, you're being super quiet. That's okay. It's my job to be noisy and painty. And I'm going to shoot for that other, I don't know, it's not quite a knee pad. Kind of a knee pad. And then, so like on the inner part of this guy's leg right here, mostly that's going to be that dark green color, because the light coming this way is not going to get in there. And I can see right now I've sprayed a little bit too much of this. I'm going to have to take this dark green and come back in, maybe with the airbrush, and like right here where this line is, I'm going to have to put a shadow back in there, and probably some back over here too. But that's all right. That's okay. You kind of go back and forth with the airbrush. You add some highlights, you deepen the shadows, you rebuild some shadows where maybe you oversprayed. And sometimes you don't do it with the airbrush. Sometimes you're like, okay, I'm going to come in with the brush and I'm going to put these shadows back in that way. One of my favorite painters, Kenny Boucher, super talented with the airbrush. I mean, like stupid. Oh my God, talented with the airbrush. He has this saying, cool, Gimli. Man, all right, so I don't play a lot of video games, but man, I have been on a binge lately. We were supposed to work at the plant this last weekend, but we were missing a part. So they canceled the production. I got to have my normal. So normally I should have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. I work 4-day weeks. But man, this is our busy season. I have been, oh my gosh, I've worked so many extra days. And as a salaried employee, it's just not a pleasant feeling to give them an extra day of your life. So anyway, I had Friday off because we ran out of that part. Not that I'm technically not happy about that, but you know, it was a day off. So I didn't tell anybody. Came home, wife and my daughters are like, you just goof off the whole day. And I did. I played Spider-Man on the PS4. I played some Minecraft. I got up and goofed off some more the next day. I had a great time. The only thing that could have made it better if the weather was dry, I could have played some disc golf. It was refreshing to be able to chill out and relax. All right, now I got to create some higher highlights. We got to come up a little bit more. Start there and see where we can go from there. So what are you playing, Gimli? You can't say you're playing a video game without telling us what it is. Come on now. Unless, of course, you shouldn't tell us, in which case, don't tell us. I mean, there are some really esoteric video games out there that I don't really know anything about, but I hear people talk about them, and I'm like, that's weird. And I'll just leave it at that. There are some weird video games out there. Bloodborne, going back to finally get the DLC Platinum Trophy done. I am not familiar with that. Tell us a little bit about it, Gimli. What is that? Oh, by the way, I'm also terrible at video games. So I just play stuff on easy mode. That way I can kind of explore and have a good time and not get frustrated too badly and yell at the computer, because I would never yell at the computer. Ever. Not even once. Oh my God, that sounds terrible. I've heard bad things about that Dark Souls game. That is not my kind of game. The last thing I need is to have a game make me want to punch the TV. All right, get this thing on screen here. Oh, see, it's spurting. And see, now the problem is we've added this Titan buff. This Titan buff is clearly a variation of white, right? It's a creamy, very milky kind of white. Kind of like a coffee creamer color. Oh, I'm not complaining, Gimli. You enjoy it. No. That Gimli, that is not me. Absolutely not. I don't have time for that. So, like, I have the 2018 PS4 Spider-Man game. I haven't finished it yet. That's how rarely I play video games. That's a problem. Anyway, so what I was saying is I could see there's some spatters here, and I could tell that meant that I had some junk on the tip of my airbrush, and that's because I added all that what amounts to white in there, and white is just the chalkiest, most annoying color to try and airbrush. It's a challenge. I've taken some airbrush classes from like really, really talented painters, like in-person classes, back before COVID and all that. And they were like, "Oh my God, I hate painting white." And these guys they're just masters at what they do. All right. See, it's still spurting those little droplets. Every time I hit the trigger, now it's instantly has stuff on it. Yeah, it's making like a spatter pattern. I'm going to have to get that straightened out. I cannot spray that as I highlight at my model. I'll spend a lot of time trying to correct that. So what I'll do is what I need to do is thin the paint back out. So I'm going to get it mixed up really good by backflowing, gangster gumboing, as Kenny Bechet would say. Trying to get a clean stream to come out of here. I want to be able to paint. Well, I want the paint to go where I tell it to go. That seems decent. Okay, maybe I just needed to mix it because I put a lot of. Let's see if I've actually got the product available. So, Flow Improver is one of the things that I like to use to make to thin the airbrush paints out with. You can always just use airbrush thinner. Honestly, I think I may be using the wrong thing. I think thinner is probably really what I need in this situation, but I don't have any, so it does in a pinch. The other thing is you kind of gotta spray right away, right? You gotta trust what you're doing. Start by blowing air. Come in, air, paint. It's doing it already. I don't know, man. I don't know how I did this the first time around. I'm just going to go with more. That's a ton of Flow Improver in there. Going back to finish up the DLC. Yeah, there's so many fun games. I own so many video games, it's ridiculous. I buy them and I never played them. Like John recommended Titanfall 2 or 3 or whatever it was. Can't remember. So I ordered it for the PS4 and I have not even opened the cellophane yet because I need to finish Spider-Man. I need to finish Spider-Man. All right. So let's just try this. We're just going to go in and do it. If I ruin this model, maybe I'll paint him back to gray plastic or something. Who knows? Get this turret there where you can see it. Man, no, this stuff is just not having it today. Not having it. Man, just this one spray. All right. Nah. I'm just spattering paint everywhere. Man, this is one of those situations I find myself in when I start to question what I'm doing with this stupid airbrush. Because, I mean, clearly it's doable. You got to find the right mix. And today that mix is not here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to spray a bunch of this stuff out and go back to more of a simple formula. So just dump all this paint out onto this rag here. Make sure I don't have any. Oh yeah, I guess I could adjust the focus a little bit. Trying to work the. So what I'm doing now is I'm just spraying air through the air gun, and I've loosened the needle up so I can just pull it back and forth. And what I'm doing is I'm just sort of gently pushing it forward to try and work anything in the channel that might be gunky or like a chunk of something, hopefully to get it to spray out the end of the nozzle. And then I'm going to close it back up. Yeah, Gimli, that's one of the reasons, Scud, yeah, Titanfall has mechs. That's one of the reasons John recommended it. And I'm sorry I missed it back when it was like a current game. But apparently there's a single player thing in there that's still worth messing with. So that's on my list of things to do. I just really want to. If I don't finish Spider-Man now, I will never finish it. And it's a really good game. I mean, I am a giant superhero fan, and that game it feels so much like the way I imagine Spider-Man would work in reality. It's just I have to finish the game, at least the main story, not even the DLCs. I mean, oh Lord, it's got two DLCs I think they made for it, and then of course they've made a Miles Morales Spider-Man. I don't play games fast enough. So there's also that Avengers game that came out that I bought that I want to play. I'm a gigantic Batman fan, although honestly a little bit more Batman 66-ish than I am, like the grim. In the grim future, there is only Batman. Grim darkness of the future, there's only Batman kind of thing. A little less of that, but I mean that's not bad. I don't hate that stuff. Come on, dumb green. I'm afraid it's gonna spurt out real hard. And the funny thing is, the green sprays much better than the white. Much, much easier to thin that. Yeah, Gimli. I haven't even thought about trying to get a PS5 yet. I'm like, good God Almighty, I have unopened PS4 games I haven't played yet. Why would I buy a PS5, even if I could find one for a price I was willing to pay? Yeah, I mean, there's and those are just the games that I know I like, right? So, of all things, my wife and I have started playing Minecraft lately, which we always enjoyed a little bit back in the day, but I don't know, we just never really dug deep into it. I watched a video on YouTube. YouTube is the devil. And so it was some guy playing Minecraft. He's a really nice guy. He had a good time. It made it look like fun. There was the new Bedrock edition for Windows 10 that makes it super easy to play on a little local server. You don't have to, try and figure out how to make two Java instances talk to each other across the network. And so I installed it and started playing it. Now my wife and I started playing it. And so, that's not Spider-Man, is it? You didn't hear the word Spider-Man there at all, did you? But yeah, she and I have been playing a lot of. Yeah, that seems a little bit better. She and I have been playing a lot of Minecraft lately, and we hate creepers. Oh my God, creepers are the devil. I can't even deal with creepers. So this Demon Souls game of yours and that crazy stuff where you get kicked constantly. I just like to hear people talk about it. I don't want anything to do with those games. Gosh bless. Go even more. Let's just go crazy. Let's mix this stuff up. All right, one more time. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. I don't know how I did this. I don't know how I did the other ones. Oh, I should have took better notes because, man, this thing is not cooperating with me today. I cannot get this thing to spray a stream of this lighter color that I can control to save my life. Yeah, that wasn't too terrible. All right. Maybe, all right, let's go back the other way. What if I go with a bunch? Oh, hold on. Oh yeah, I forgot. I changed it so you could see the bottom. Hold on. Let's go here. All right, somewhere in there. Let's see. More pressure. That seems pretty decent. Let's try that. Different paints take different amounts of pressure. So last night when I was painting the screen, so I've got this valve right here, right? This is an inline air valve. And so rather than change the pressure on my compressor, which I stick out in the hallway when I'm hanging out with you guys, I just change it here, right? So this is wide open and this is down to zero. No air at all. Zero. And so it's not numeric, but I can kind of estimate where I am and just play with it. And I forgot I had turned it down last night, so I've been painting with kind of low air pressure. So I'm going to try it with some higher air pressure. Professional painting, not happening here. You guys need to go over to Thunderhead if you want to see that kind of stuff, or Party Bear, or Mr. Wapple, or Kenny Boucher, or any number of fantastic painters. This is not a painting show. On camera. Here we go. God bless. Just blowing chunks. Ah, yeah, naturally. Well, why is that coming? It's like coming out pure. It's like not even green looking. It's probably too light. Ta-da, the joys of trying to paint miniatures. Come on, darn it. And then we slowly end up back with a pot full of paint, just like we had earlier when we started over. You start up and become 9 o'clock so I can end this fiasco. Alright. Apparently Titan Buff and I are not friends. See, no, that's not spattery. Not spattery at all. Alright, let's do this so we can't mess up. Try that. Gosh, I'm going to rebuild that completely. This is just the worst. I don't understand. Sweet Ilmarin, progress for somebody. You've defeated the monster. Awesome. Unfortunately, this is the Demon Souls or Demon Forged or Bloodborne or whatever it is of painting tonight. Bah! How many dervishes you got done, Ilmarin? How many you got done? No. Come on now. Dervishes for days. You need at least 12 of those guys. Baker's dozen. I need Julia Childs. I need to basically just have one of these perfectly painted by somebody else and off screen, and me kind of go, oh yeah, and then you do this other thing and blah, voila. Perfectly baked Duelist croissants to go with our coconut donuts, of course. Starting to behave a little better. Now that Ilmarin isn't taking up all the success bandwidth with his inking of dervishes, maybe the rest of us can borrow some of the painting luck. Yeah. Just gotta find the right mix, and you gotta recognize when your brush is dirty. Keep the tip clean. I think I've heard somebody say that before. Yeah, that pad right there may have to have some battle damage to recuperate that paint job. Oh. Whoop. Making a mess. All right. Sorry, I got something working. I can't talk and paint at the same time. Like I said, I got my tongue hanging out like I did when I was in kindergarten. Not enough brain cells left to do two things at once. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. So our Slow Grow League starts, well, it technically starts, I think, on June 4th. But I don't think we're going to have any games kick off on the 4th. I think maybe the next week is the best week for everybody. I still haven't found out who all wants, how we want to quite get this organized. I've been chatting with the people in the group, and we got a lot of interest. We just gotta hammer out the details. I kind of want us to have like a really good, like opening day sort of thing, so that, we can get a bunch of games in. So we just kind of play that by ear, I guess. Get this a little further along. Yeah, I'm going to come back in with the darker green and clean up a bunch of stuff right here. All right. It's funny because I can kind of tell which players in the Slugger League are really into it and who are going to be a challenging opponent on the table, because they're asking questions like, what are these ion disruption cannons? How do they work? Can I proxy this model for that model? You could just tell these guys get it. They're learning. They're starting to pick the rules up. They're starting to think about what they can do on the table, and once they actually get some more game time, they are going to be, like I said, a tough out is, I think, maybe the proper expression for this time of year. Yeah, it's starting to work out a little bit better. Like I said, I'm just going to have to go back in with the darker color this week, probably tomorrow. I think me and my painting partner, one of my daughter's boyfriends, has started to kind of learn how to paint a little bit, and I think he and I are scheduled to do some painting tomorrow. So I'll probably do a little bit of this. I'll go back in and strengthen these shadows and stuff like that. Get this green all down pat and cleaned up where I've spattered stuff all over it. And then see where we go from there. All right, I think that's about where I want this guy to be right now. Let me pull out the other guy. Do a quick comparison. Take this glove off. This glove makes my hands sweat. So I don't know what John and I are going to talk about Wednesday. John hasn't said anything about it yet. Get a drink of water. All right, so were those your pictures at the dining room table, Ilmarin, that I saw? I think on Discord? I think they were on Discord. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. Yeah, absolutely. Hit me up over on Discord with a PM, Ilmarin, and I will. If this young guy, the fellow's son, if he's interested in playing, I will send him a couple of spare models I have laying around just for free. Just give me an address and a place to mail them to. I like to encourage people to play, and I have some extra stuff I'd be happy to share. All right, here we were going to kind of look at these two guys side by side. Can we get them? So yeah, now that I look at it, I'm 100% convinced I came back in with some black or maybe that base green and rebuilt those shadows. I think I'm in the right area. It's a little lighter, especially out on the edge of the Duelist's racks, but I think I can bring that back down pretty easily. Yep, this is a nice simple paint job. I need to do some washing on this guy and some edge highlighting, of course, on all of them, and probably, especially over here, I want to bring this yellow up just a little bit stronger. And then cockpits and, maybe some kind of heraldry or something like that, gun barrels. I think I should be able to have these guys ready for the first couple of weeks in June. Not too bad. And again, you can definitely see this is definitely to me, this looks much shinier. So I may have matte coated these. I may have sealed this guy with a matte coat, knowing I wasn't going to get back to him anytime soon. Ritter. Well, yeah, just send me whatever they're both playing, and I'll send them both something. I mean, it's the same address, right? I'll throw something in for the dad and something in for the kid. And, first hit's free, right? Yeah. Then it's a decent start. This is kind of, that sort of ugly stage where you're like, man, this model is terrible. But then, you keep painting and you keep working on it, and they eventually end up looking pretty solid. Solid enough for my level of effort. So that's all the painting time we have tonight. I got to clean up my airy brush. Is there anybody got any questions? Anything anybody wants to talk about? Anything you want me to try and weasel out of John? Not that he tells me anything he doesn't really tell you guys. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not much. Not as much as I would like. Let's put it like that. Come on, John, make up with the goods. But we'll be on Wednesday. I presume John is going to do his thing tomorrow. It's not Terrain Tuesday anymore. It is, I don't know, we need a name. Cav Tuesdays? Cav Tacos? What are the Cav equivalent of tacos? Do they still have tacos in Cav? That's what we need to know. John, are there Cav tacos? I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but there's a piece of art early on in the book. I'm sure I mentioned this too, where there's a street scene with a car parked in the street. And that car is a BMW. I like Templar Tuesdays. I like that a lot. Templar Tuesdays. There's definitely, that car is definitely a BMW. You can tell by the grill. We own a bunch of BMWs, so I'm pretty familiar with them. Even though it's technically not, because John didn't want to get in trouble, I'm sure. But that thing is a BMW. So it makes me wonder if other, quasi-realistic organizations have survived. I mean, the Templars obviously did. What about Taco Bell? Can we get some Taco Bell up in here, John? What are they giving away over at T-Mobile in the future for Tuesdays? Terran Tuesdays? That's good too. I like it. I like the alliteration. We definitely need more alliteration there, Scud. I like that a lot. I guess we could talk real quick about how I like to clean my airbrush. I'm very lazy, although I do clean my airbrush. I'm not lazy about cleaning it. I just like doing things in the laziest way possible. So what I have here is a jar of 99% alcohol. Not the drinkable kind. I was using my Sotar the other day, so that's why it's in there. I didn't get a chance to clean it up before the stream today. I ran out of time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off the paint off of my needle. You got to be super careful with these needles. They are A, needles, literally. They will stab you in a heartbeat. And B, if you bend that tip, you might as well just buy a new one. And these Harder and Steenbeck needles are not cheap. So I try not to bend them for that and other various reasons. So yeah, I'm going to take this guy apart, and all the parts that come in contact with paint, I'm going to dunk into this jar of alcohol and let him sit there until tomorrow when I come upstairs to do my thing with my, I don't know what word to use, with Ben. It's my buddy who's learning how to paint, hanging out, painting. Drop. And then, of course, this whole thing, I'm just going to put it in there. And then I'm going to seal it. Oh, and this bit too. And I'm just going to let them soak for, most of a day. And then I'll take them out and clean them with a little soft brush. And then I dump all my parts in there so I don't lose them. They don't roll off into the carpet, hopefully. And then the needles just have to lay around because they're awkwardly sized and shaped. So, to review, tomorrow's John. Come and hang out with John and hit him up about tacos in the Cav universe. Wednesday, me and John will be on to talk about stuff. Hopefully, he'll have some more information. He said last week, I believe he said, that he had an electrician coming out to finish up some wiring for the vulcanizer that he had got, which was the last step he had before he could actually, the last piece of equipment he needed before he could actually turn on the whole casting of calves in Talon's HQ. So that's super exciting. surely he'll have some good news for us about that. And then, we'll try and get him to tell us a little bit about what's going on in the, in Cav Fluff land. I guess that's all. Ilmer, like I said, make sure you hit me up. I will hook up your friend and his son with some models. And but other than that, you know what I'm going to say. Just be good. Real quick, there's a YouTube channel called Aussie Man. He's a funny voiceover guy, really hilarious. He's an Australian. You probably have heard about him. He's fairly YouTube famous. And he's always doing these, like crazy cat videos and things like that. So he posted up one. Occasionally he'll post one up about people just being nice, right? Just human beings being kind to one another. And it's just him voicing over other people's YouTube videos. And he does such a good job. And it's so heartwarming. Yeah. Awesome, Ilmarin. I'm point him out if he joins Discord. Point him out if you would, please. Anyway, Aussie Man's video was just very heartwarming and made me feel good about people being people. And it's my job, my goal in life to make other people's days just a little bit better. Just try and be kind and polite and respectful. And that's just the way I like to do things as much as I possibly can. So anyway, I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Teach somebody how to play Cav. Give them a model if you have a spare one. If not, let me know. I might have a spare one. I'm not afraid to mail a model to somebody. Anyway, folks, I will see you on Wednesday. Get in here tomorrow and Tuesday and bug John. Make him tell us stuff. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to this every Monday. You guys have fun.